Maui was almost bald. Believe it or not, Disney originally planned for the legendary demigod to have no hair at all, inspired by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. But cultural experts stepped in, changing everything. How did these shifts reshape Moana and make it such a powerful film? Let's dive into the surprising twists that brought this adventure to life. Did you know that Disney had a completely different plan for Moana? Maui, the legendary demigod, was supposed to be the star, while Moana played a smaller supporting role. Her adventure revolved around rescuing a love interest, not saving her island or discovering herself. Although, as the film developed, the creative team saw the potential in making Moana the focus. They shifted the story to highlight her journey of self-discovery, cultural exploration, and the power of reconnecting with her heritage. This change gave Moana a stronger, more meaningful role, transforming the movie into a heartfelt story that truly resonated with audiences. But the changes didn't end there. Even one of the film's most memorable songs almost took a surprising turn. Initially, "You're Welcome" had a completely different performer in mind. Instead of Maui singing the catchy tune, the song was actually supposed to be sung by Moana herself. This happened before the filmmakers had really nailed down the personalities of the characters. Director John Musker originally wanted Moana to look up to Maui in a way that almost idolized him. When she first met him, he was envisioned as this down-and-out guy, a mopey character who had lost his sense of purpose. Moana's role was to uplift him, singing "You're Welcome" to remind him of his past achievements and convince him to help her on her journey. But as the creative team refined the characters, they decided Maui worked much better as the larger-than-life, confident demigod we know today. As Maui's character evolved, the search for the perfect Moana came with its own surprising twist. The casting team didn't plan for Auli'i to be Moana. She was the very last girl they saw after auditioning many young women from various Polynesian backgrounds. When she did her online callback, the Disney team asked her to act out how she would react if she got the role. It seemed like a fun exercise, but then they surprised her by telling her she actually got it. From paper sketches to pixels, why did the creators decide to embrace CGI over traditional animation? The Moana team toyed with the idea of traditional hand-drawn animation and conducted several tests to capture the classic Disney aesthetic. But as the project progressed, directors Clements and Musker decided to go with computer animation instead. One of the main reasons for this shift was the environment itself. With CGI, they could bring the ocean and landscapes to life in ways that traditional animation couldn't achieve. The computer animation allowed them to create a more dynamic and realistic environment, especially with the ocean playing such an important role in the story. They also felt that three-dimensional animation suited the characters better, allowing for the unique and beautiful facial features of the South Pacific people to be more accurately represented. Still, the filmmakers wanted to keep a bit of that hand-drawn style in the final movie, which is why Maui's tattoos are animated by hand. Animator Eric Goldberg brought these tattoos to life. In early versions of Moana, Pua the pig was meant to go on the entire adventure with Moana. It would have been so fun to see this adorable character in a bigger role. But the filmmakers decided to change that plan. They wanted Moana's journey to feel more isolated and challenging, which is why they left Pua behind on the island. Instead, Moana was stuck with Heihei, the silly and clueless rooster, to emphasize how tough her journey was without the comfort of her loyal pig. Because of this decision, some really cute scenes with Pua had to be cut. But as Pua's journey was cut short, the filmmakers faced another type of voyage, navigating cultural authenticity. The filmmakers had very different plans for Moana at the start, especially when it came to Polynesian culture. They wanted Maui to be bald, taking inspiration from Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. But after consulting with Polynesian cultural experts, things changed. They explained how important Maui's long hair is to his spiritual energy, or mana. So the team redesigned him, giving him the flowing long hair we now see. But that wasn't the only major change. The filmmakers also had a scene where Moana threw a tantrum by tossing coconuts. The cultural advisors felt this scene didn't fit well with Polynesian traditions and suggested we take it out. The creators listened, scrapped the scene, and made adjustments to show more respect for the culture. But they were far from finished. In the early drafts of Moana, Te Kā was called Te Po, inspired by Maori goddess Hine Nui Te Po. According to legend, Hine Nui Te Po started as the life-giving goddess Hine Te Tama, but became the goddess of death after discovering that her husband, Tane, was actually her father. In the actual story, Maui tried to defeat Hinenui Tepo to bring immortality to humans, but he failed and ended up losing his life. This early concept added a darker and more complex mythology element to the film. But as the story evolved, the filmmakers shifted away from this idea and reworked the character into Te Kā, giving her a new role that fit better with the overall themes of Moana. After reshaping Te Kā from her darker origins to better align with Moana's themes, the filmmakers' curiosity about Polynesian lore only grew stronger. At first, Moana didn't focus much on real Polynesian history and traditions. The filmmakers aimed to tell a simple, exciting adventure story without diving deep into cultural details. But as directors Clements and Musker did more research, they discovered the incredible history of Polynesian voyaging. They learned that Polynesians were expert navigators who explored the Pacific Ocean long before Europeans, using a unique way of reading the stars and the ocean. One mystery that fascinated the directors was why these long-distance voyages suddenly stopped about 3,000 years ago. While no one knows for sure, some experts think climate change and shifts in ocean patterns might be the reason. This discovery changed the whole direction of the film. The directors decided to set Moana during the time when Polynesians were starting to sail on long voyages again, about 2,000 years ago. They carefully created the fictional island of Motunui, using ideas from cultures of Fiji, Samoa, and Tonga to make the world feel real and full of life. And since they wanted the film to reflect the real history of how Polynesians navigated, so Disney brought in a group of astronomers to make sure the night sky looked exactly how it would have 2,000 years ago. This led to detailed, authentic scenes where Maui teaches Moana to read the stars and use the sky to find her way home. What began as a simple adventure story turned into what was deeply connected to Polynesian history, showing a cultural revival and adding new layers that weren't in the original plan. In Taika Waititi's first version, Moana had several brothers, and the story focused a lot on gender roles and her place in a big family of boys. But the directors decided to change this. They felt Moana's journey should be about finding herself, not about competing with her brothers or focusing on gender themes. Another early idea had Moana's father wanting to bring back ocean voyaging, but they rewrote his character to be against it, making Moana's desire to explore the ocean her own dream, not something driven by her dad. This way, Moana's story stayed focused on her personal growth. In crafting the narrative for Moana, the creative team recognized the importance of a character who could connect Moana to her ancestral roots. Pamela Reiben suggested the addition of Moana's grandmother, who ultimately became a key emotional and cultural anchor in the film. After crafting a story that touched hearts worldwide, why did Moana's name change in Europe? Moana was intended to have the same name worldwide, but that didn't work out in some parts of Europe. Due to a trademark conflict, Disney had to rename the character Vaia'ana for certain countries, and the film was released under that name in those areas. It's a small difference, but it changed how the movie was presented internationally. In Italy, things got even more complicated. Instead of using Moana or Vaiana, the film was titled Oceana. Media reports suggested that Disney changed the name to avoid any confusion with Moana Pozzi, a famous Italian pornographic actress. Disney Italy's head of marketing, David Romani, even said in a 2015 meeting that they had to think carefully about how to handle this. Thanks for watching! If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe to Tinseltown Unscripted for more content like this.